And you can find a lot more of that on social media. Well, Senior Lecturer, University of Ghana Business School and Political Marketing Strategist, Dr. Kobby Mensah, joins us via Zoom to help us understand how important these funny clips are to the campaign strategy. Many thanks for your time, sir. So what role do they play in our election, if any at all?
Araba, thank you so much for having me. Obviously, I've been laughing throughout as you play those clips, and that can tell you, the role that they play. Apart from the campaign itself, I mean, to us, the voters, it helps reduce, the tension. I mean, these clips actually, put us at ease. It sort of makes us understand that the election is not something that is, do or die, but it's something that we can actually enjoy. So the entertainment bit, helps calm people's nerves and helps, it helps take the seriousness out of it. Know that in the politics is a hard fact. I mean, you call it hard news.
Yes.
It brings some kind of tension into the system. It brings confrontation. It brings all sorts of, kind of emotional, effect on people. But this one actually, kind of lightened up, the atmosphere.
But I guess the question is, do they really, have any effect on people's decision on where they would, vote, in which direction that they will vote? Does it really matter?
No, it does. I mean, if you look at the traditional advertising, the execution strategy matters. And that's why in some adverts you see humor. Some adverts are humorous, some adverts are, we call it, logical arguments. Some adverts are actually emotive. Now, the humorous adverts, what they do is that they make us recall easily the theme or the message. So it has effect on that. The only risk that we anticipate or we actually caution, in advertising, for example, the humor could take the better of the message or the better part of the message. And so people may not recall really the message, but the humor part of it. But yes, it does help, because if you listen to the last one that you played, in the ad were the messages, the campaign messages of the NDC, Okada, the other policies that they had. And they are all embedded in the advert. So as much as the advert actually plays out humorously, it also reminds voters the key policy positions of the political parties. So yes, it play a lot of role. They play a lot of role in the campaign.
It's interesting because some will argue that people have made up their minds already. We're just 13 days to the elections. By now, surely people would have made up their minds which direction that they're voting. No?
Yeah, it is true. I mean, predominantly a lot of people have made up their mind. We have done a survey. We're just about publishing it. We're analyzing them now. Clearly, it shows that people have made up their mind. But don't forget, there are also some people who do not actually know where to vote. And most of these will look at these adverts, look at the messages embedded in them, and actually, in one way or the other, make a decision on that. But it's also not about making minds. It's about reinforcing, the positions. Because some people have made up their minds, but they have to remember, or they have to be reminded, the kind of positions or the kind of policies that they're going to vote for, or they're going to vote on. So yes, it is not only about making people change their positions or change their minds, or even making them make up their minds. It's also reinforcing it. And also, when you have that kind of communication going and a lot of people are actually consuming it, it's almost like a bandwagon. So the one who actually leads in exciting people with the advertising, it's almost as if they are the ones leading. Remember in 2000, J.H. Kufuor kind of song that almost everybody was singing. It was almost like he's the leading candidate and he was about to win. And that's how it is. The effect, the bandwagon effect, when a lot of people like your ad, actually makes it sound as though you are the leading party.
Be that as it may, there are those who argue that, people are set in their ways. They know where they're going to vote. And really, the fight is not on traditional or social media, it's at the grassroots, because really people who have access to traditional media and social media very often know which direction they're going to vote anyway.
But those who are not on social media don't live on a different planet. They all live on the earth with us. So, and we know that we share, we share media spaces. In our societies, we share newspapers. In our societies, we share TV. We share, radio sets. And the same way with the internet, although some people do not have smartphones, we still share content that are actually coming on other people's smartphones. So if you go to the villages, I was in my mom's village, the last time I was in Sehi, quite recently. There are people actually, showing others, content on their phones. So it is not as if those who do not have smartphones live on a different planet. They live with us. And as a result, they share these contents.
I'm not sure if you've seen the CPP ad, the one that they've termed the electric shock. They're going to shock Ghanaians by giving the NDC and the MPP the shock of their lives by winning the election. I found that very funny. I'm not sure if a lot of people were convinced by that ad to sway their decision to vote for the party.
I love that ad. It's brought CPP into the conversation, hasn't it? The metaphor that it's been used in the metaphorically, they're saying that the two parties would actually go, and they say in this election, NDC will go, MPP will go, they will get a shock, all right? And that has actually brought CPP into the conversation. I know a lot of people, or some people, not a lot of people, some people are actually taken aback the way they executed it. But I say, hey, CPP has actually done what they forced themselves into the conversation. We may not have been discussing them by now because almost everybody is discussing MPP, NDC. Yet they managed to get into the conversation with this particular electric shock, which, I think that it was creative because, NDC is using rescue mission. That's, what do you call a metaphor. CPP is using electric shock, which is also a metaphor. And then MPP is using form of phenomena, which is rhyming, all right? They're using rhymes. So all the political parties are using one way or the other a communication strategy, a communication, a methodology that could actually push them into the foreheads of the voters. And I love that particular electric shock one.
I love it too. Well, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Kobby Mensah is a political marketing analyst speaking there to us. You're still watching Election Brief with me, Araba Koomson. We're taking a short break. Don't go away.